This week, we're going to take the tank off this classic 350 and have a look at some... Hang on. If you're going to take the tank off anyway, why didn't you do that last week? Before you started messing around with all the valves. Would have been much easier, wouldn't it? Fuck. Hello and welcome. So, as I was saying, we're going to try out some alternatives on this classic 350 before I start taking it all apart, just for a few ideas. Because as you probably know, the classic 350, the Hunter, the Meteor and the new Bullet are really kind of not all the same bike, but they're very closely related, the same engine. The Meteor is definitely the same frame as this, and the Hunter is slightly different in a couple of areas just at the back, which I'll try and show you later. And the new Bullet is the same as this really. But what I want to do, I've got a Meteor 350 tank here, which I'll show you now, and I've got a Hunter 350 tank as well, both of which came off crashed bikes. So they're slightly damaged, which is why they were very cheap. I think it's about £60 each I paid for them, which is isn't too much, you know. I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't take my wife anywhere nice. So why not buy some tanks instead? So I don't know if they're going to fit, but we're going to take this tank off, try those other two tanks, have a look at them, do a bit of video editing and compare them all, and perhaps something will pop out. It's being interesting. Either way, I wanted the Meteor tank anyway because I wanted to try doing some paint on it for my Meteor, because I didn't want to ruin the tank that came on my Meteor, but I'm happy to ruin another one. So let's get all the stuff together, have a go with these tanks. Just as a quick recap, and in case you missed the earlier episodes, this is a crashed, stolen and recovered classic 350 that I want to customise and rebuild, which is why we're kind of ripping into it and looking at all changes. Mostly structurally okay, apart from the bent forks, but cosmetically it's pretty much damaged on every part, which is why we're looking at doing all this. But that's in the earlier episodes if you'd like a look. Now, this is a very beautiful motorcycle, and I think the tank is one of its most beautiful features. Now, this tank is not damaged. I've had this for quite a while. I just bought it because I love the colour, because I love a halcyon grey classic 350. But it came up on eBay, someone bought it from India, didn't want it or for some reason. But there's nothing wrong with this. There's a story behind the dead flowers, but you'll remember that from the Meteor series. But these tanks in this absolutely beautiful. Everything about all the lines, the tank pad, the paintwork. Now, I'm not of a mind to put this on the bike because the colour is so distinctive, and I don't want to really damage this tank. It's been in the house, and my wife was kind of happy to see it leave, but I think maybe she was just pretending. Isn't it just beautiful? All the curves. And like all the J series tanks, it kind of uses these hooks to hook onto two rubber bungs at the front. And then you've got a simple through bolt at the back. So, original Classic 350. And this is a Meteor tank. This one has come off a crashed bike. As you can see, this badge has been damaged, and it's also been dented on the other side, which I'll show you now. But first thing you can see, I know it's close to the camera, but it is about 15% bigger. It's higher, it's wider, holds more fuel. But I do know that they are interchangeable, because we played around with that on the Meteor. When I tried putting this tank on the Meteor. So I look from above, you can see how wide a Meteor tank is. And quite a bit. Not quite a bit, but a bit. A bit wider than the Classic 350. It's got a much sort of broader shoulders. And it sits quite a lot higher as well. As you can see, the top of the frame tube would be here. Same frame, remember. And then this comes upwards. Whereas the Classic 350, you got top of the frame tube, but it hardly comes up at all. Beautiful pearl metallic white paint there. So you can see this comes up quite a bit. Now obviously the biggest thing is because it comes up, will it hit the handlebars? I think it's likely, but you can always be surprised. So we'll have a look at that. And I'll show you the dent on the other side. It's not terrible. If I get you can see just there, just past the badge. It's a bit dented. Might be able to push them out, because it's quite a large hole. As we said last week, I've got quite small hands. If I can get some sort of that's a bit of wood, perhaps I can tap those dents out. Not huge, but even if not, could always fill and then repaint. So I'm not looking at having a blue bike. At the very least, I'd like to try something for the Meteor anyway. Now, the new one, to me, is this Hunter 350 tank. Again, same mounting at the back, but no idea if it does actually fit. So we're going to find out very shortly. This one's not too damaged. It's got a small dent, and that's also a small, very small dent. But that's it for this one. Now the Hunter tank, compared to the others, size-wise, it's very similar to the Classic 350. I'd say it's narrower again, so it's the narrowest of all of them. It's the tallest of all of them. Definitely taller than or at least equal to the Meteor tank. But it is a bit more slender. It's got these larger knee pad areas. So from the back, butter, sorry. Big fat Meteor. And the classic in the middle. So 3 different widths. Length, I think, is the same. Slightly different in height. So there we go. 3 tanks. What's going to happen? Let's take this one off and try these 3. If I lift the tank up with a bit of wood, like last week, just for a bit more space. Under here we've got the quick release fitting and this electrical connection. Now that should clip under there actually, but who knows what abuse it's been having, so right, fuel should not come out when this happens. So there's 2 teeth, squeeze, squeeze, push and pull. Oh, there's not much space in here. I wondered why people struggled with this, because I've been doing it on the Meteor and there's more room, but it's more difficult on the Classic, look. There we go. No fuel? Excellent. So it's that button and a twin button. That's when the fuel comes out. What a clever little fitting. So squeeze, push, pull, and the electrical connection. Can't remember if there's a little clip on this or not. Again, there's not much room for hands in here. You know what, I'm going to pull the tank off slightly. There's 2 rubber hoses under here, but they can sort themselves out. Ah, got it. That was it. So towards the outside of the bike, it was squeeze that lever inwards. Now, off it should come. Ooh, 1 rubber hose, and the other one's already come off. Up and away. So there's the view under the tank. There's the power fitting. And its little lever. There's the fuel clip. And its little buttons. And that rubber hose, the breather. Which is connected under the tank. And there should be another one. Oh, there it is. So one's wider than the other, so you'd hopefully not confuse them. Just looking on top of that cylinder head cover. Bit of alloy corrosion, look. There's that sticker I could feel. But nothing nasty going on. These two holes on the Meteor, because I know it's why I think it's exactly the same frame, is that boss is exactly that flat mounting plate is identical, except it only uses one of these holes. And the fact that everything else fits, of course. Now going back to that valve changing last week, valve adjustment. To get this off properly, the coil here needs unbolting and pulling away. That's how it would have been to do that properly. And then you can get this off. And of course you've got loads of easy access then. Not bad. It's all there. Right, let's try some tanks. Let's try the Meteor first. Righty-ho. Meteor 350 tank on a classic 350. Now it works the other way around, but I have no idea what's going to happen this way around. This might be a very short video, though I wouldn't count on it. Ow! Well, I think it's definitely going to hit the tank, the handlebars. Can't quite get them to slide on yet. Oops. That's interesting, these rubber cups seem to be different sizes. There we go. Oh, this is going to be a train wreck. These bars are definitely going to hit. Come and have a look closer. Right. No way. Is that almost working? Look, the horn button is hitting. Hear that? But if you rotate the bars forward, you might get that to fit. Let's try this way. Right, slightly different this way. the bars are going to hit the tank. There are two interesting things going on there. I know this handlebar is bent downwards and it's also pushed that way. So if it was right, would we almost have got away with that? How much further should it turn? Let's get a spanner and loosen those bars. I need to loosen the ones underneath as well. Right, I'm just trying to ease them over first. And just pull them forward as much as I can. Ow, that was sharp. Right, what's going to happen? Very good. It's just starting to touch the tank there. And I'm going to do something nasty and I'm going to push it a little. Right, that's against the stops now. But it's just touching it. If I go this way, it's just touching it again. Not enough to dent it. It would definitely mark the paint, but not enough to dent it. So a very slight adjustment, even small, even bars with a bit of a different bend would sort that out. Or, because you've got a big because you've got quite a gap there, if we shaved those rubber stoppers and just dropped this a couple of millimeters, that would completely solve that. So I haven't left any dent or mark in there actually, although I know it's touching. So I think you could fit a Meteor tank, but maybe shave those rubbers to drop it a couple of mil, or limit the turning circle a little, or just be really careful, or just not bother. Right, let's pop the seat on, which I assume will still fit, and then we'll have a look. Hey, I won't put the bolt in. Let's have a look from the front. Hey, well there we go. Meteor tank, classic 350. I'll do some editing later to make this comparison easier, and I'll change the colours. First impressions. It's obviously the same bike, but the bigger tank, it just looks, you can just tell it just looks beefier. The tank's about 15% bigger, and the whole bike, is still pretty, but in that weird, bigger, prettier way. It's a bit more butch and aggressive, like it's going to come and eat you up or something. Yeah, it looks like if this was a classic 350, this would be what its bigger engined brother might look like. It just looks a bit higher tank, makes the bars look lower. That's kind of what I expected. So it's kind of on the way to being a Meteor then. And I'm thinking of my Meteor now, which has got a classic 350 seat, and I'm getting all confused. Let's have a look around. So we start from the back. See, look at that big, massive, fat tank. Yeah, that's a chunky looking bike now. It even makes the handlebars look narrower, even narrower than they did before. Obviously, it's just touching. The bars are against the stop there. So it's beefy. If you're doing touring on your classic 350, obviously it would give you a bit of extra range, because I think they hold more fuel. A couple of litres more maybe. Very interesting. Kind of looked like its own big brother. Right, let's try the Hunter tank. Seat off. Tank off. There's those rubber caps I was talking about. So if you shaved a bit off there, you could push the tank down a bit, which would solve that problem with the bars hitting. Right, Hunter tank. Really, really do not know what's going to happen now. Exactly the same fuel pump fitting. Same front mounts. Oh my god, it feels so much smaller. I'm having the same problem that it doesn't want to slide over. But am I just in the wrong place? Or is it just banging against things that shouldn't even be there because it's completely the wrong bike? Because Hunter and the Bullet and the Classic and the Meteor absolutely do not share a frame. Although they've got to be similar at the front because they mount the same engine, obviously. Right, what's that rubbing up against? So these cables. This just needs a bit of a physical encouragement. Yeah, that was it. Right, I can tell something's different at the back already because it's about 15, 20 millimeters short of fitting in this bracket. So that bracket is there and the bolt needs to go through here, and that's not going to happen. Could work around it though if required. Although I've got that down to about 10 mil now. Okay, yeah, about 10 mil difference here in the length of the tank. That's interesting. Right, does the seat go on? It might be a little bit of a bodge because this tongue is going to be too long. I think in the same way as the Meteor tank made this look butch, the Hunter tank is going to make this look quite dainty. Right, do the bars turn? I'd be bloody surprised if they didn't, because this tank is tiny. Yeah, no problem there. Or here. So apart from a minor 10mm difference, there's a Hunter Classic 350. Let's step back for a look. I know you want to. There we go. Hunter Classic 350. I guess you could call it a classic or a... Never mind. Right, let's take that in. First impressions, it kind of looks like what a junior brother of a Classic 350 would be. In the same way as the Meteor tank made it look like its own big brother, this tank kind of makes it look like if it was a Classic 250 or something. Like it was the real beginner of the range, because it's sort of more square. It looks like what the lowest price sort of model would be back in the 50s. The Junior. The Classic Junior. That's its impression, because it's smaller and squarer. Classic Junior. That's it. Kind of not as pretty. Functional. Utilitarian. Yeah, that's it. A base model 50s bike. Real base model. And then the Classic would sort of be the step up. That's the kind of vibes it's giving. Let's have a look around. Ride indeed. Yeah, these square edges, they give it that real sort of functional look. Like they didn't set out to make a pretty bike, they just set out to make a good working bike. I think the Hunter's fantastic, by the way. It doesn't give that vibe on the Hunter because the Hunter looks, I love the way that looks. but just the way the square edges are working with the round edges of the whole bike. Let's have a look from on top. I think it's the same fuel fitting as Classic 350 though. So no problem with steering lock there. I've just realised it says Pure this side. And Ride that side. What do you think of that? That's really transformed it. It looks like a little farm bike or something now. Like it wasn't made to be pretty. It was made to work. Not that the Classic doesn't, but the Classic, it's got that such curvy aesthetic, doesn't it? Very interesting. I'll be thinking hard on this. It's a very friendly looking bike. I mean, the Classic looks nice anyway. But with that Hunter tank, it looks so inoffensive. Like it would never hurt you. You can just imagine the postman pottering around on it. Or just someone going to work. Very interesting. Right, let's set the camera up and we'll do some transitions to make this even more obvious. Right, let's have a look. Okay, I'll do some filtering on this to try and reduce the effect of the colours and make it all look a bit flatter to take that distraction away. Let's start with the Classic 350 tank. Here we are, absolutely standard. Let's have a look at the Meteor. There we go. Back to the original. Put the Meteor on again. What do you think of that? Right, let's go to Classic Junior and have a look at the Hunter tank. Big change again. And the Classic original now. And the Hunter tank. Let's go original again. So there we go. I think it is possible. There we go, messing around at last. It's always fun to take things to bits. That was quite interesting. It kind of was and wasn't what I was expecting. I thought the Meteor tank would fit, which it does. Obviously, needs a bit of adjustment if you don't want the bars to hit. But it does make it look kind of a chunky bike. A bit like my Meteor, I suppose. Because it's so interlinked now, they're all the same. Even the new Bullet it's the same bike. And I don't know what tank that's got. I assume it's a classic 351, but without knee pads. That's why it looks different. Maybe it is different anyway. Perhaps you can let me know if you've seen a new bullet. No, I'm not going to go looking for one of those. The Hunter was a bit of a surprise. I thought it might have made it look sportier, because the Hunter looks quite sporty and modern, doesn't it? I thought it might have made it look, but it makes it look like some little cute postman's bike. Because it's so dinky and narrow, and it's got those square edges. Because I think traditionally in design, squarer edges kind of equal cheaper models. Chunky, look at old Triumphs and things, the chunky square shaped bikes are the entry level models, and as things get more expensive they get curvier. That little Hunter just makes it look like the world's friendliest little bike, as if it didn't anyway. It just makes it look like you should have a teddy bear on it or something. So lots to think about there, and I haven't seen it with the black and white like you just did, because the colour is quite distracting when you see all the blues and the whites. So I can't wait to get this home and edit that up and have a look. Although to be fair, nothing is jumping out at me and making me want to put those other ones on. But I could do some paint experiments on them and some practice, or maybe just put them in the house. That will go down well. Okay, nearly time to start taking this to bits for real, and we'd better look at that. So next time, we better really start work. So thanks very much for watching again. Please like and subscribe if you can. It's brilliant to hear from you and all your comments. So let me know what you think about all this, because sometimes I don't even know what to think about this half the time, and we just let it unfold as it will. So thanks very much, and next time I think we can look at the tyres. Can't fit them, but we can look at them.